Welcome to the Huntington Way Show, where we help parents navigate the educational maze. I'm Yvonne Strachan, your host. I am the author and founder of InspirationalHomeschooling.com. Today's guest is Shari McMinn. She is a mom of 11. She's graduated from homeschool teaching and she focuses on her work as a professional editor, author, blogger, and speaker, and Check's advertising manager. She is also the editor for Check's Homeschool Update magazine and serves as the exhibitor and sponsors chair for Check's annual in person Rocky Mountain Homeschool Conference and the Homeschool Summit's biannual virtual events. Today, we are focusing on Shari's heart in serving the homeschool community through Christian Home Educators of Colorado, also known as Check, and her heart for helping parents who have unique learners. You're listening on Power Talk 1040 AM, 98.5 FM, and 95.7 FM. Please like and subscribe to Power Talk 1040 on YouTube. Welcome to the show, Shari.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. It's really fun to be here with you.
Oh, it's so fun to have you. I know you're going to have such great information to share with our guests, so I'm really excited to get started.
Thank you.
Can you please share your journey into homeschooling?
Sure. So I grew up in a wonderful family. I say it was an idyllic childhood, and my parents are still alive at 90 and 92, sharp as tacks. And um, in a day and age when girls really didn't go away to college, I left Wichita and went to school in Boulder at the University of Colorado, but it was not a good fit. So I eventually went to the Art Institute of Colorado in Denver and earned a associate in interior design, which is like, well, what does that have to do anything? Well, it was a great journey. I worked for 20 years as a professional interior designer doing hotels and restaurants, and I actually met my husband at work, so that was perfect. He was an architect, and our romance blossomed, and we got married and started having kids, and we're like, okay, what are we gonna do? Well, Sherry has to like work less, stay with the kids, but we job shared. And so my husband and I had a business together, and he was the greatest homeschool dad, but he didn't even know about homeschooling. So anyway, one of our kids had problems in the public school they went to, and so the principal actually said, there's this new thing called homeschooling that you guys would be really good at. And we're like, oh, okay, we'll try that. So we went to the Tattered Cover Bookstore in Denver, because this is way before the internet, and we checked out books about this new thing called home education. And we started 29 years ago, and it was the greatest journey of our lives. We loved it.
Wow, and you just graduated your last
Yes,
child.
Madison, my youngest of 11, and she graduated a year ago in May. And it's just so freeing to not have to do homeschool every day. But I loved every minute of it, and I felt like I earned multiple master's and degrees while doing it. So it was really great.
Yeah, my husband always talks about by the time I'm done with all my kids, I would have gone through kindergarten through 12th grade 6 times. So,
Yes,
I would have learned at least something. So,
yes,
you've gone
exactly.
through a dozen times,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, exactly.
Oh, so what led you start serving with Czech?
Well, um, 10 years ago, last week, my husband very unexpectedly died. He had a massive heart attack in his sleep right after his 62nd birthday, and we were completely devastated, of course. I still had 5 kids. I was homeschooling. We lived on a remote farm. And, but thankfully, I had been volunteering for Czech for a number of years and went to church with a couple of the Czech board members. And they said, we totally believe in supporting widows and orphans, and you have both because some of your kids were adopted. And so, do you know how to edit a magazine? We know you've written a book. And I'm like, I have no idea how to do that. And they said, oh, you'll figure it out. You're a homeschool mom. So I started doing that, soliciting the articles and doing the primary edits. And oh my word, I just love it. It's so fun. And so I've been doing that for about 9 years. And then, like every year, they wanted to know if I could do this too and that too. I'm like, well, yeah, because, I need to support my family. Thankfully, our farm was paid for, but we still had bills and kids to feed. So then I started doing the advertising management job. And then when people started blogging, they wanted me to blog about unique learners, which is, I really like that. And on and off, I've been the person who drafts the emails to our group leader directory. And then a couple years ago, they said, well, do you know about running an exhibit hall? I'm like, I have no idea how to do that. So, anyway, I figured that out, and that's a fun thing too. And what I like about working with Czech is everybody's so nice. And even when I absolutely totally mess up and I have to send my boss an email, he's like, okay, well, no problem. What are you going to do to solve it? And of course, I'm a homeschool mom, so I can solve anything. And it's just been a great ride. So I'm really looking forward to the homeschool conference this week because, I get to check in all the exhibitors and then I'll do a few talks too. So
That's great. What are your talks that you're going to be speaking on?
So I'm giving three talks. I for a long time I have taught the introductory seminar that's on Wednesday, which is the bonus day and is free. And I really recommend anybody who is thinking about homeschooling or if they've been doing it for a year and they kind of feel like they're floundering, they should come to that. And then I'm giving one that day on homeschooling unique learners, so kids that aren't in the box. And then I'll be teaching one specifically on homeschooling children with special needs. I think that one's on Friday. And then on Saturday, my heart right now is helping diverse families homeschool their kids because it's a toxic world out there. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, that is a lot of good workshops for
Yeah, yeah,
people, for
yeah.
sure. Now, there's probably going to be some people that are listening and then they're like, well, I missed it. What can they do if they've missed your talks and they want to
Oh, that's a
hear?
really good question. So, Resounding Voice always audio records all of the talks, and you can buy a whole package of them, or Resounding Voice will send me the links to my specific talks, and I'll put those up on my website, sharymcminn.com. I'll probably get that done by the end of June, so they can listen to them there.
Oh, that is great because I love that you have a heart for the special needs, for the
Yeah,
unique learners, for, you've been through so much
yeah.
with in your life, and I love that God can just take what you've gone through to help others.
Right. Well, they call that the phoenix rising out of the ashes. I just, life has so many curveballs and really difficult times. But, what is God trying to show me, get me to do? How is He sanctifying me? And I love being able to share the hard things that have happened in my life to other people because you feel so alone or there's no end in sight. And I've been there, done that, and I'm glad I'm past it, but I'm happy to come alongside of people who are in that struggle.
Oh, absolutely. So when is the biggest thing on your heart? You've been through, losing your husband, and
Yes.
just how did that look like when you had to, continue homeschooling? Was
Yeah, it was very difficult. I had just a wonderful husband. I mean, we fought like cats and dogs because that's what marriage is about, right? But he was just so over the top fun and wonderful. And he had always said, someday when the kids are done being homeschooled, you need to write books. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Well, after he died, I felt like I wanted to write down all the memories of our life. And so I wrote my first book, Stretched Yet Unbroken, about our family going back 5 generations of Christian faith so that then I could proceed, on my own. There's several widows in our background, and they did, and they didn't even have washers and dryers. um, so I just decided that God had a path and that He had set Carrie and I on, and we were just going to keep on that path. And the five youngest of my kids are all adopted, all with special needs labels, and it was very difficult, but I learned so much in I'm an avid researcher, I'm just on the internet reading articles all the time and books um and I decided that's really where my heart is because special kids, that's what I call them, more unique learners, They just need our love and time more than anything. And I was able to do that by just keeping them at home and helping them.
Oh, that's great. Well, Sherry, thank you for sharing your heart
Yes.
and how it has grown for serving homeschool families. When we come back, we're going to delve deeper into helping a child who is a unique learner. Welcome back to the Huntington Way Show. You're listening on Power Talk 1040 AM, 98.5 FM, and 95.7 FM. Please like and subscribe to Power Talk 1040 on YouTube. I'm your host, Yvonne Strachan, and I'm speaking with Shari McMinn about helping a child who is a unique learner. Sherry, as a mom of multiple children with special needs, what is the best encouragement you can offer parents who are homeschooling their unique learner?
Well, I think that every child is unique, and there's some that are extra unique. And unique includes highly gifted, it includes kids who struggle with reading, kids that have learning disabilities that are identified or you suspect, but they're just kids, and they deserve our love and attention. And I love being with my kids. I mean, it was exhausting, of course. I just fell into bed every night, just like, get me to the next morning. But I think the encouragement I would give parents is that God knows you and God knows your kids. Each individually, He knows what you need, what you're capable of, and he will help you if you seek him figure that out about your kids. It's like being a private detective or somebody putting together a thousand-piece puzzle and it all looks like sky. Who knows what the piece looks like. Um, I think that if you intentionally observe your child and you spend a lot of time with them just doing life stuff like chores and errands and those kind of things, you will unpeel the layers of the onion that is your child, and it's a sweet onion, but there's lots of layers, and you get to discover what God has for them, and you help them do that. You help them fly.
Yeah, and I love that about homeschool families. They're so connected with their kids
Yeah.
every day.
Yes.
And so we can see, oh, they're really struggling with this,
Right.
or, they need more help here, or I need more help. So maybe
Right.
I might need to reach out for a resource.
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
and I've had that too. I
Uh-huh.
have a special needs child as well. My first child is
Hmm.
special needs. And just, you're right. It's like being an investigator,
It
right?
is. It
For
is.
sure. So, what would be your best advice for parents who are homeschooling that unique learner? What can they do to really help?
Well, I think one of the things that we've really lost in our culture that's kids with special needs need more than anything is a gentle routine. Montessori education calls it a rhythmic routine. So you get up at the same time every morning, you have breakfast and Bible devotions. Our kids always went and fed animals, did their chores, and then, we did reading and math in the morning because that is the most brain power that you need for both the teacher and the kid, and then have lunch together and enjoy some PE time afterwards, a nature walk or playing games. And yes, I still can hit a home run. I just have to have a designated runner. But and then do fun hands-on science and history because no matter what level your child is at, they can enjoy it and learn from each other. And then just to have unstructured playtime that they can discover who they are, what they like, and all during that time you're observing them, getting to know them, they trust you. Of course, they rebel and do naughty things, but you're consistent. That's the main thing is routine and consistency. And then as much as you can get, if you're married, get your spouse involved. My husband, when he came home from work, he'd be with the kids while I got dinner ready, and then he would take care of the bedtime stuff. He'd get them into their pajamas and read books aloud. That is so important no matter what page or what age the kid is. They love read aloud classic books and then pray with them at night. And if you have a steady, consistent routine for 18 years, or if a child joins you when they're 12, some of our adopted kids came at 5 and 7, they got used to that, and it really helped them because if it's chaos, and chaos does erupt, but if you don't control the chaos with a steady routine and a good diet, um, it's just harder to have their brains function at maximum capacity.
Oh, that makes sense. And I feel like if you have a routine, it helps them to be um, maybe a little bit better at listening to you because they do expect something to happen next
Right.
versus they have an idea and
Yes.
then you have an idea and then
Right.
they're like, but I wanted to do this and you're telling them that.
Right.
But if they have a routine, they know, okay, this is what I expect
Right.
next. This is what I have to do next. And it
Yes.
doesn't have to be like from um, 8 to 9, we're doing this and
No.
such, not structured.
Right.
So, more from what I'm hearing,
Yeah.
um, start with something harder and work toward easier, but just set them into different blocks. Can you explain your routine just a little bit more in detail?
Sure. So I think that a major part of our family life is that we would always on Monday morning at breakfast, we'd have a team meeting, just like at work. We have a farm, so we have to work on the farm and we have to work at homeschooling, but we would have a team meeting and said, okay, today we're going to do this, tomorrow's that, piano's on Wednesday. And if you know Marcia Washburn, she was our piano teacher. I just love her so much. And, we just kind of go through the days of the week, and then always on Sunday we go to church. But there's some fun stuff, Friday night you'll have dad date and watch movies with dad. And then Saturday, maybe we're going to go do something fun. And of course, we always ended up at Dairy Queen when we were in town. Um, but you need to help your kids have things to look forward to. There is boring routine in life. And so, there's chores that have to get done, but, there's also a great amount of fun that you can have doing things together. And my son, who is 20, he'll be 21 in November, he is getting ready to head to the Army in just a week. And when he was little, every 5 minutes, what are we doing next? What are we doing at 3 o'clock? What are we doing tomorrow? And it was just draining. So I thought, okay, we got to start, you know, nipping this in the bud. So here's the schedule. There's a schedule on the wall, but then we verbally went over it. And that really helped people see their part in our family life and how it was serious. Mom is homeschooling you, and dad is too. Um, and we are serious about education and we're serious about everybody pitching together for household chores and farm chores. But it's going to be great. And it's like as adults, we enjoy our work because we're friends with the people we work with. But there's also little pluses that are built into it. And we always took an annual vacation, even if it was camping. No wonder my back hurts all the time sleeping on the ground. But there were things to look forward to. And we were out and about in our community, which, people worry about socialization, but we did lots of things together, volunteer work and other things. So, but a steady routine, day after day, week after week, the years just fly by. But now I see my adult children doing the exact same thing for themselves or with my grandkids, and it's so wonderful.
Oh, that's great, Sherry. Now, one more question, real quick, before we wrap up, and wondering, what advice do you have for parents who are graduating a unique learner? I know that's a big question out
That
there.
is a big question. And I think that you have to, number one, plan ahead for that. They are at some point in time probably going to leave your nest and you want them to fly and succeed as an adult. So I think it's really important that you're helping them learn about their finances, banking and credit card use and phone use and all those kind of things. But also, if you can help them have goals in mind, my kids always had something they wanted to do by about age of 8. They were going to do this. So we'd help them, and some of them succeeded in that, and some of them still kind of struggle a little bit. But you have to pass the baton. You really want to raise them to be self-governing, self-sufficient. If they know how to clean the house and do their laundry, those are huge things that most 20-somethings do not know how to do, or even cook a meal. I mean, the cost of going out, and people that go out all the time, is like really just make peanut butter and jelly or some pasta or something at home, save a lot of money. But also, it's important that they have a work ethic so they can get a job. You know, we all need to work. And even I have friends from my childhood whose families were very wealthy, but they still made their kids learn to work because, you know, you just have to. That's just part of life. But I think knowing those skills is really going to help them. Even just talking to people with eye contact is a really important thing. One of our daughters is Native American and she always resisted eye contact because that's a cultural thing. And we had to help her learn, you know, you have to look people in the eye because that's when they can learn to trust you and to hire you. And so I think that you need to think what adulting contains, and mostly it contains managing your money and working and caring for a house. And so if your kids, by the time they're 17, 18, 19, can do that, wonderful. Some kids will have to live at home the rest of their lives, but they can still help out at home because they're part of the family unit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're out of time, so will you share your resource with us real quick?
Yes. So if you want to go to the Unique Learner blog, which I write a blog monthly on that, you go to chec.org/blog, and you'll find my Unique Learner blogs there. And then also, if you go to my website, sharymcminn.com, there's also things for unique learners about that. And then one book I wrote, which we'll talk about at another time, is on adoption, and that's available on my website. And all adopted kids really are unique learners, so that's an important resource for families who have them.
Oh, that's wonderful. Sherry, just thank you for joining me today. Thank you for sharing your heart for the homeschool community and for helping families with unique learners,
Yes,
for sure.
thank you.
You're welcome. This is Yvonne Strachan, today's host on the Huntington Way Show, where we support you in educating your kids. Thank you for joining us.